Hey folks, super excited to show you Koji. It's our new web app development platform that tries to make it dramatically faster and easier to create all kinds of web applications. And so it consists of a number of things. One is a template store. You can think of this as being a repository of templates that you can clone. These templates are submitted into the template store by third-party developers. So if you're a developer, feel free and submit templates into the store. And then soon you'll be able to specify whether these templates are available for cloning for free or for a fee. At this moment, all of them are free. And you can see we've got a number of templates in here that we'll play around with in a second. Also, you're able to create posts, which is a way for you to ask the community for help. Koji is a collaborative development environment. It'll be more clear as we move forward with this screencast of what I mean by that. And so people can help each other if they get stuck and to complete their projects. When you create projects, they end up here. And so you can create new ones and then come back to them when you need to. And then if you've deployed any projects and converted them into apps, they will be in this deployed tab. So let's jump into the template store and clone one of these things. I'm going to clone this game here. So if you're familiar with the game Candy Crush, this is basically the same thing. As you can see, it's got a README file that you can peruse, and then all you have to do to clone it is say use template and give it a name. And I'm going to call mine Superhero. And we're going to say create project. And so instead of cloning these files, this repository, onto your computer, what this is doing is it's spinning up an instance in the cloud, and it's going to give us all of the files we need. It's also going to create kind of what I call a remote local host, so a preview that we can play with and develop against. And as you can see, this happens pretty quickly. It typically takes less than 30 seconds before this thing is ready to go. Okay, great. So here we are. As you can see, we've got a terminal here at the bottom. I'm just going to collapse it, but you can always get access to it simply by clicking here. On the left-hand side, we've got our directory structure. And as you can see, we've got this app here. Consists simply of a front end, although Koji supports both front end and back end projects, so full stack. But this one only has a front end, and we can expand it and see our structure and our files and get access to the code. And so as you can see, you can edit it directly in here. On the right-hand side, we have our live preview, and so we can play this game. This game happens to have a background audio track, so I'm going to mute it here. And we can play it directly in here. So if you know how to play this game, Candy Crush, you just need to align 3 either vertically or horizontally. And I can also spin this out in a new tab, and so this thing is actually staged in the cloud, and so we can play it on desktop, we can play it on tablet, and here it is. We can also, at any time, take a look at this eye here, and this will give us basically our Chrome DevTools console that we can look at and see various potential errors here. And if you want, during development, you can actually click on this embedded preview dropdown and get this QR code and scan it. And you can actually view your development environment, meaning this preview, on your phone. Okay, so we can simply edit the code, and as you can see, this project here uses React, JavaScript framework called React, but Koji supports any kind of JavaScript project, so you don't have to use a framework at all, or use any framework that you want. This one uses something called styled components, so we can actually sort of edit the CSS directly in here. Also, the creator of a template can optionally add some configuration files that basically abstract this code and create a simpler way of being able to edit some of these parameters rather than going directly into the code. So let's take a look at that. And they can be found here. And so all this thing is doing, in fact, it is just code itself. This is just a JSON file that was included by the template creator with this template. But we render this file in this visual interface, and so it makes it really simple for us to edit a bunch of things about this game, like the game name, that we can just call it Superhero. And we can edit it here, and you can see it sort of rebuilds and edits this in real time. We can see it. And we can say, for example, start game, and change this button to say start game. We can change the font family in this case. We can change the background image. In fact, I'm going to do that now. And I just found this image here on the web. It's just a simple JPEG, but I like it, and so I can just copy this URL. And then I can either upload a file here from my computer, or I can go here, import URL, paste it here, and say rehost. And so we'll grab that image and rebuild it, and now this game has this really nice dark background on it. As you can see, this has 5 columns and 8 rows, but I can very quickly change that, for example, to 10 columns and 20 rows, and now this thing becomes a lot more dense. I'm not crazy about it, so I'm going to change this back. And so you can see it's like really easy to be able to, via this abstraction layer, to change a bunch of things about this game. This one has various flashing colors, as you can see in the background. So this is where you change these colors. And so if this is of type color over here, type color, right? This gets rendered here in this color picker interface. And so we can change these colors really quickly, etc. We can also, in this case, change the metadata for this app. So we can change, for example, add our own Google tracking ID in here so we can track it. We can change the open graph images of what happens when this game gets shared as a permalink to Facebook or Twitter. We can obviously change the pieces of this game, and we can change the sounds here as well. So it's got a background music track, and then it's got a sound for what happens when you just swap the pieces around, and also when you have a match. So I'm going to go ahead and change some of these pieces here by going here and saying change. And here I just found these really cool little icons of superheroes, and I'm just going to grab these, and so I'm going to say copy image address, go here, and then import this from URL and rehost it. Okay, and so we change that. Then I'm going to grab another one. And so I'm going to change all of these, and I'm going to fast forward this screencast so you don't have to watch me doing all of that and come back. Okay, so I'm all done with changing all of these pieces. And then as you can see, we've got our new cool superhero game. And we are ready. I'm not going to change any of these sounds here, but I think you can understand how easy it is to do that. It basically is the same way as changing images. And so this is pretty cool. But as happens if you give people access to code, periodically we get stuck in it. And I want to show you the collaborative piece of Koji here. And so I'm going to intentionally break my app over here by a trivial little error of simply miscapitalization. And so this, of course, happens to us all the time as developers. We make some kind of a mistake. We get an error. Typically, we would go and open up Chrome DevTools and open up the console and see this error. And we can do that here as well, of course. We just right-click here and do that. But instead, I'm going to grab it from here. And instead of going to Google and pasting this error in and finding myself on Stack Overflow and potentially spending a very long time trying to troubleshoot this, I'm going to take advantage of the collaborative nature of Koji and ask the community for help. And so the way I do that is by going to this Posts tab here and creating a post. And so I can simply say, help please, I am a newbie. And then I'm just going to post the error here and say create post. And so this post has been created. In fact, I'm going to click view all here just to show you that here it is. Here's that post that I just created in the posts tab. And I can then basically go about my business doing whatever it is I want. And other developers that are in the community could see that post and then choose to send me a message. As you can see, I've got a notification here now that I've got a message waiting for me. I'm going to open that up. And here's Sean, and we've got a conversation now going. Thanks. And so I'm going to send him the collaboration link, which I can find here by clicking collaborate. And then simply clicking here, and it's copied onto my clipboard. And I can paste it in here. And he gets this message and then is able to initiate a session with me. Here it is, and as you can see, he's got a profile. I can click on this, in fact, and spin out a new tab and take a look at all of the feedback he's got, make sure he's a good guy before I let him into my session, and can say, yes, start session. I'm actually going to close this here. As you can see, we have a session going on now. And so Sean is able to see anything that I show him here and nothing more. So for example, if I've got like a bunch of private keys stored somewhere here, I never have to click on that file and do anything. As you can see, that's him highlighting it. And I'm just going to take him back to this file where I had this error. And that's him highlighting the code and fixing my error. And we can see that this works indeed. And so, of course, I can say, thank you. Awesome. And then I can end our session, and we are now ready to deploy our new super cool superhero app. And so traditionally, this would be quite difficult to do, right? Even if we had this project on our local host here, we'd need to go to the cloud, and we'd need to make sure we had a cloud account created. We'd then sort of need to understand all of these various configurations that are needed to deploy anything. But Koji makes this much, much simpler. All I have to do is say deploy project, and then I need to give it a name. And so I'm going to call this cool superhero game. And then it will basically deploy it with this dot with Koji domain. So this will be a subdomain. And all I have to do is say deploy now. And this will start its deployment. And so this takes about a minute. Meanwhile, let me show you around what is coming soon. Soon you will be able to obviously add your own custom domain name to this. So if you go and register a domain name, you can point it towards this app. You'll be able to add a manifest file and potentially some service workers to make this into a progressive web app. So it can bypass the app stores and be installed directly on users' home screens. We will automatically be able to package this app for you to be installed natively on Windows, Mac, and Linux. So it'll be in your dock here, and it'll have menu bars and all of that. You can publish it into the Koji App Store so that other people who might be browsing the Koji App Store can find it. Again, these apps don't require publishing to an app store, but this is just another opportunity to get your app discovered. We can automatically create packages for you that you will then have to manually submit to the iOS App Store and the Google Play Store. And of course, these will be in the form of a single web view scene that is wrapped with these packages that are submittable. And then we will also be able to package it for you as a WeChat mini program and also a Facebook instant game. Okay, awesome. So we're all deployed now, and we can take a look at our cool superhero game. In fact, feel free and go to this URL and you can play this game as well. It is now in production and there for posterity until we choose to either remove it. And by the way, we can also go and of course, update it. And so we can change it, and then we can deploy it again to the same URL and keep our game updated. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to actually turn off the sound here. In fact, I'm going to close this here. And so let me quickly show you another template here, specifically this microblog. So this is basically a Twitter clone. And I can say use this template, and I'm going to call mine Stanford Connect. And we are going to create a Twitter, but only for people who are able to register with a stanford.edu email address. We want to restrict it just for that. And I just want to show you what a full stack app looks like on Koji. And again, so this is cloning this again into a new instance in the cloud. It takes about 30 seconds, and then we will have our code and our live preview. Okay, and here we are. So as you can see in our terminal, we've got a couple of terminal windows open. We've got a front end and a back end. Again, I'm going to collapse this. We've got our live preview over here. As you can see, it looks a lot like Twitter. And we've got code for our back end and our front end. So on the back end, we have our routes here. So this uses Node Express. And so as you can see, we've got a route for registering and logging in and creating posts and deleting posts and all those things you'd expect to have. And we can look at these routes. And just like we have a live preview of the front end, we also have a live preview of the back end. So instead of running something like Postman here, which is a popular app, to allow us to craft requests and get responses back, we actually have this built in here, and so we can send these requests and get these responses back. And of course, again, we can edit all of this code. And so we said we're going to restrict this to only allow registrations from stanford.edu. So we can just look at this here, and you can see we're already doing a bunch of form validation here, and we can just extend one of these here. So I'll extend this one. It says you must provide a valid email address at stanford.edu, and then I'll go here and catch that and say not email.ends with stanford.edu, and then Command S or Control S. And so we're saved now. And so our Twitter is now restricted to only allow registrations from Stanford.edu. So I can close my backend here. And of course, you already know how this front end piece works. So I'm not going to spend time on that. I'll go in here into this configuration, very quickly change some of these global strings here. So this one's called Stanford Connect. And I can say what's happening at Stanford right now. And then I can go into the visual style here, and maybe I don't want it to look so much like Twitter, and so I can make this pink, and the text color to be blue, and the background color to be maybe like this greenish. Get the point. And so here all of this has changed. In fact, of course, it's changed it across the entire app. And then, of course, you already know how easy it is to go and deploy this if we chose to do it. We just simply need to give it a name and hit deploy, wait a minute, and now all of a sudden we have our new permalink for our new social media service that we can share to social media or send in our email message or link to it from our website or whatever. So we're super excited to open Koji up for beta and welcome developers to come in and play around with the templates that we've created and create some templates that all of us can play around with. We're innovating extremely rapidly, so things will change. This screencast is going to be out of date in a couple of hours, but hopefully you'll be able to understand how we are progressing and help us make this thing into a great success. Thanks for watching.